The fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a university event in Utah on Wednesday has sent shockwaves across the United States. In the immediate aftermath, as authorities continue to search for the perpetrator, the incident has rapidly evolved from a tragic crime into a potent political flashpoint. President Donald Trump's public response delivered in a video address has been central to this shift, framing the killing as a direct act of terrorism carried out by the radical left. This analysis will summarize and delve into the reasons and consequences of this statement before offering predictions and potential solutions to a deeply polarized political climate. Summary and analysis. In his address, President Trump did not mourn Kirk's death in isolation. Instead, he eulogized him as a martyr for truth and freedom, a powerful and religiously charged term that elevates Kirk's death to a symbolic sacrifice for a broader cause. This rhetoric casts Kirk's supporters, and by extension the entire MAGA movement, as victims of an oppressive and violent opposition. Trump also directly accused the radical left of being responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, asserting that their hateful and despicable rhetoric created an environment where such an act could occur. This statement was made without any official confirmation of the shooter's identity or motive, which authorities are still working to determine. This framing is a strategic and potent form of political communication. By declaring Kirk a martyr, Trump not only honors a key ally, but also galvanizes his political base, transforming grief into a mandate for action. The narrative of vengeance and a promised crackdown against organizations that fund and support political violence serves to reassure supporters that their leader will fight back against a perceived existential threat. This rhetoric effectively weaponizes the tragedy, converting it into a rallying cry for an aggressive response against political opponents. Reasons and consequences. The reasons behind Trump's forceful and immediate attribution of blame are rooted in a long-standing political strategy of empowered victimhood. This approach portrays his movement as being under constant siege by powerful, malevolent forces, in this case the radical left. By casting himself and his allies as the aggrieved victims, he justifies a retributive course of action. This is consistent with his past rhetoric, including his response to the 2024 assassination attempt against him, where he also blamed his political opponents. The approach deflects any self-reflection on political discourse and instead places all responsibility for violence on the opposition. The consequences of this rhetoric are profound and dangerous. The immediate and most significant consequence is the deepening of political polarization. By painting an entire political ideology as responsible for a heinous crime, Trump erases any possibility of a unified, bipartisan response. While many other Republicans and Democrats, including Governor Spencer Cox of Utah, have condemned the shooting as a political assassination and called for unity, Trump's statement makes such calls difficult to achieve. The fear is that this will lead to an escalation of political violence, as each side believes the other is responsible for, and not capable of, condemnation. The search results show that other commentators and public figures have echoed Trump's call for vengeance, further fueling the divisions. Furthermore, this rhetoric risks undermining democratic institutions and due process. By vowing to find each and every one of those who contributed to the atrocity, Trump appears to be suggesting a campaign of retribution that may bypass standard legal procedures, especially given the lack of a suspect in custody. This creates a climate of fear and suspicion, where political dissent can be conflated with terrorism. Predictions and solutions. Looking ahead, it is likely that the rhetoric surrounding Kirk's death will not subside. It will likely become a central theme in political campaigns, with Trump and his allies using it to justify a more aggressive, punitive approach toward their political opponents. This could lead to an increase in federal investigations targeting progressive organizations, as well as heightened tensions at political events and on college campuses. The fear of a politically motivated crackdown on speech and assembly is a real one. The tragic killing and the reaction to it could serve as a grim precedent for how political violence is handled in the future, further cementing the division between partisan camps. The path toward a solution is difficult but necessary. The first step must be a universal, bipartisan condemnation of all political violence, regardless of who the victim or perpetrator is. Leaders from all sides of the political spectrum need to demonstrate that violence is a non-negotiable red line that cannot be justified by any political grievance. They must model civil discourse and reject the kind of dehumanizing language that can lead to radicalization. Secondly, there needs to be a collective commitment to de-escalation. Instead of using tragedies to score political points, political figures and the media should prioritize a focus on facts and the rule of law. The investigation into the killing should be allowed to proceed without political interference or premature conclusions. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, there must be a genuine effort to foster empathy and understanding between differing political ideologies, acknowledging that while disagreements are fundamental to a healthy democracy, they should never be a reason for hatred and violence.